Okay, welcome. This video is on how to use binomial distribution in Microsoft Excel. So first I want to take a look at the binomial distribution function that you're going to be using in Excel. It's binom dot dist, and then there's an R comma, an N comma, a P comma, and a cumulative comma. The R is the number of successes. So R is the number of successes. N is the total number of trials. P is the probability. You always do the probability in decimal form. And then cumulative. Now this one has two possible words that you can put in there. One is false. When you're looking for an exact binomial distribution, an exact probability of one number. So when you're looking for an exact probability, then you're going to type in the word false into the cumulative spot. If you want the probability of up to a certain point, then you're going to type in the word tree. And I'll show you two examples here really quick. What's the probability of getting exactly 5 out of 10 heads? So 5 out of 10. We're looking for the probability just of the fifth getting exactly 5. We don't care about the probability of getting 4 heads, 6 heads, 7 heads, 8 heads. We're looking for exactly 5 heads. So since we're looking for the probability of getting 5 heads out of 10, we would type in false because we're looking for an exact probability of one specific number. Now, if I ask you what is the probability of getting at least or getting 6 or fewer, that means I could get 0 heads, I could get 2 heads, 3 heads, 4 heads, 5 heads, 6 heads, 6 or fewer heads. I could get any one of these. So it's not an exact, we're not looking for an exact number, we're looking for any of these. 6 or fewer, 6, 5 is fewer than 6, 4 is fewer than 6, 6 or fewer. So all of these have a possibility of being the answer. So we would type in true for the cumulative. So if you're looking for an exact, like exactly 5 out of 10, then you would type in false. If you're looking for 6 or fewer, 3 or fewer, where there's more, you can have more than one possible answer, you would type in the word true. Okay, so let's take a look at the probabilities. Let's do the probability of 5 heads out of 10. First of all, there's a couple of things we need to know. What is the probability of getting a head or a tail? A coin has two sides. So on a coin, what's the probability of getting a head? The probability of getting a head, is 1 out of 2 sides. The decimal equivalent to this is 0.5. So it's always good to know to get the probability of your outcome that you want. The probability of a head is 0.5. So we're looking for an exact number. What if I flip a coin 10 times? This question is asking, if I flip a coin 10 times, what's the probability of getting exactly 5 of those heads? So the probability of 5 heads. So I'm going to put this answer down over here. I'm going to go to insert a function right here in my function button, insert a function, and then I'm looking for, from the top over here, I'm looking for binomial distribution. If I erase all this, I can type in binomial dot distribution, hit go, and we have binomial dot distribution here. Double click it, and we start. Okay, so the first box is our R, the number of successes. The number of successes is 5. We want to know the probability of 5 heads. So 5 heads would be the success. 5 would be the heads. How many trials? How many times N, see the second box over here on the left, N is the total amount of trials that we're trying. We're going to try 10 trials. Next is the probability. The probability of a success, the probability of getting ahead is 0.5, or you can just type in 0.5. And then cumulative, false or true. We're looking for exactly 5. Exactly 5. So if we're looking for exactly, all we have to do is type in the word false here. Then we hit enter, and we have our probability. The probability of getting exactly 5 heads if you flip a coin 10 times is 0.24. 6094. In other words, it's about 24% the probability of getting exactly 5 heads. Okay? Next, we're going to do the probability. B says the probability of 8 out of 10 heads. So, probability of B, once again, 8 out of 10. We're going to have 10 flips. We want to know the probability of 8. So, we're looking for an exact again. Exactly 8 successes. Exactly 8 heads. If I get 7 heads, that doesn't count. I want to get the probability of exactly 8 heads. Click on here. Click on, double click my function. Since I have most recently used up here, I have binomial distribution up here already. I double click. This time, the number of successes we want is 8. The number of trials is 8 out of 10. The probability of a success, the probability of getting ahead, is 0.5. And cumulative, once again, we want an exact number. Exact is false. If you look back up there, exact is false. So you type in either true or false. And if you click on this, you see down here it says you type in true or false. So I'm going to type in false. And I click OK. And the probability, I actually put it in the wrong spot. But that's okay. The probability of getting exactly 8 out of 10 flips. If I flip a coin 10 times, the probability of getting exactly 8 of them heads, not 9, not 7, but exactly 8, is only 4%, 0.043945. All right? So now we're going to do something different in my C problem. It says, what's the probability of 4 or fewer heads? So here's C. I want to know the probability. Here's 4 of 4 or fewer. 4 is here. Fewer is 3, 2, and did I miss? There's a 1 in there too. I don't know where the 1 went. Okay, so there's a 1 also. 1 and 0. So we're looking for the probability of 4 or fewer. Well, if you remember when I said up here at true, true means up to that point. So we want the probability of up to that point, up to 4 or fewer. So if I type in true, I'm going to get all of these if I type in 4. 4 or fewer means 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're not looking exactly 4, we're looking for 4 or fewer. So when you type in true, it's always going to be that number or fewer. It's always going to be that number or fewer. So let's do the probability of 4 or fewer right here. I'm going to go to double click my function, double click binomial distribution. We want 4 or fewer. So the number of successes we type in S, but the cumulative this time we're going to type in true. See, if I typed in false, it would give me exactly 4. But typing in true means 4 or fewer. The total trials are 10 trials. I flipped the coin 10 times. The probability of getting ahead, what we're looking for, is 0.5. I hit OK, and here is my probability. 37%, 0.376953. 37% of getting 4 or fewer. So you use the 4 button and the true to get 4 or fewer. All right. Now let's look at D. D, there's some thinking involved. So this next problem, there's a little thinking involved. What is the probability of getting at least 5? That's supposed to be at least 5. There's supposed to be an A in there. Getting at least 5 out of 10. So at least 5 out of 10 means this. At least 5 out of 10, so we're doing D, means at least 5. That means I can have 5, at least 5. That means I could also have 6 because it's 5 is the least. At the least 5, you could have 6, you could have 7, you could have 8, you could have 9, you could have 10. So I'm looking at the probability of getting all these possibilities for heads and it being a success. If I get 7 out of 10 heads, it's a success. If I get 8 out of 10 heads, it's a success. You see, at least 5. Now, remember the true is only good for fewer. If I type in false, it's exactly 5 heads. Well, I don't want exactly 5 heads. If I type in true, it would be 5 or less. But I don't want 5 or less. I want 5 or more. So remember last week in probability, when you add up the probabilities of a sample, you always get, what do you get when you add up all the probabilities of a sample? Remember that one assignment and we ended up with the probability of 2? You always get 1 for your probability. You always get 1 for your probability. When you add up all your probabilities, you always get 1. If you add up from 0 to 10 possibilities, you always get the number 1. So this is how you do it. Since we can only use true for 4 or fewer, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the probability of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to do the probability of 4 and true. That means of 4 or less. I'm going to do the binomial distribution of 4 or less. Whatever this probability equals, I'm going to take, do you see, this plus this add up to 1. These two will add up to 1. So I'm going to, since I cannot calculate this using the binomial distribution here on Excel will not let me calculate that unless you do each one individually. I'm going to calculate this, and since the two add up to 1, I'm going to take 1 minus this, 1 minus my red, and that will equal the black's probability. That will equal my black then probability. So let's take, and we're talking about 5. So the probability of at least 5, I'm going to do the probability of 4 or less. Watch how I do this. I click on here. I want to do the probability of 4 or less. I double click my function, binomial distribution. I want to do 4 or less. Remember, or less is true. The number of trials are 10, and the probability of getting a head is 0.5. So this is the probability. I have my answer, the probability of 4 or less, but I need the probability of 5 or more. So what I'm going to go back into this box. I'm still in this box. Watch what I do. After the equal sign, I'm going to type in 1 minus. The whole probability is 1. I'm going to subtract this probability, which is red. So it's the 1 minus the red. That will give me my black probability. Watch what happens when I hit enter. Hit enter. It gives me 0.62304. And did you see what the other answer was? This 0.62 is 1 minus whatever the other number was. It was 0.37 something, blah, 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 blah. All right, so we're going to try this one more time. I want the probability of at least 3 heads. That means I want the probability, and I'm going to do this in a color here, of at least 3. That means I want the probability of 3. At least 3 means 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I want to calculate this, but my Excel won't calculate this. So I have to calculate the numbers on the other side. So that's going to be 2, 1, and 0. So I need to calculate the probability of less than 2. And the way to do less than 2 is use 2 and true. And then I'm going to take 1 minus this, right? These both add up to 1. And I'm going to take 1 minus the red, and it's going to equal the blue. So we're going to do 2 and true. Do my function, binomial distribution. We want to do 2 and true. That's going to tell us the probability of less than 2, or 2 and fewer. Oh, I'm not done there. What happened? I hit enter by accident. Okay, there are 10 trials. It's 0.5, and I hit OK. And here is the answer. Well, it should be the answer. Hang on. I have 1.5 there. That's why. Do you see my probabilities over 1 and it couldn't calculate it? It has to be 0.5. Probabilities cannot be over 1. Now they calculated it. The probability of 2, 1, and 0. The probability of fewer than 2, 2 or less. 4 or 2 or fewer. But I want to calculate the probability of 3 or more. See, we calculated this red here. Now I'm going to take 1 minus the red, and it's going to equal the blue. So up here in the binomial, right after the equal sign, I'm clicking on here again. Right after the equal sign, I'm going to type in 1 minus the binomial probability of the red. I hit equals, and you see it was 0.05, blah, blah. Now it's 0.95. I have a 94% chance of getting that. I hope this video helps this week. This is how you do binomial probabilities using Microsoft Excel.